It is 1 p.m. here in Chicago, Illinois. It means it's time for another live stream. Today is Monday, the first day of November. We are way into fall now. It's November 1st, 2021. Halloween was yesterday. It was on a Sunday, so late night for the kids and the family. And that means a slow, groggy, grumpy morning this morning, but we're hanging in there. Hopefully you guys had a really good weekend as well. For all of you guys listening in podcast land, hope you're having a good run out there today. I did not have a run today. It's kind of my rest day. And I was supposed to hit the bike, but having some problems with my videos for today. Just a lot of stuff happening. So I don't know if I'll actually do, I think I might just take a rest day. That's going to be weird for me. But if you're out there listening, hopefully you're having a good run or having a good commute. And everyone listening on and watching on YouTube after the fact, hopefully it's a happy hour for you and you can sit back and relax with a recovery beverage. I do have some afternoon coffee with me here today, but the main thing that I've got is some hot shot. And I wanted to bring in a special friend to help me test this out. We're bringing in Dr. Josh. He's here.
What up, fam?
What's
We're gonna
going
get spicy today.
Yeah, how's it going?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. I'm a little bit nervous about. I mean, I feel like it can't be that bad, but I am a little bit nervous about it just because it's like, I don't know. I think you're supposed to do this before you run. There'll be some adrenaline. I'm just sitting here like casually in like my dining room, so like, I don't know. I feel like this could go sideways, but we'll see how it goes.
I know it's gonna be spicy.
All right. Let's say a quick hello to people in the chat, and then we'll dive right into this. Sandra Lee says, "I use that hot shot when training for California Death Ride, and it works." Ooh, I don't know what the California Death Ride is. Josh, you know anything about that?
It sounds like death.
It sounds pretty terrible, but all right. We're off to a good start though. Yeah. Philip says, "Yo, what's going on? Wintertime makes it easier to attend again. It's only 7 p.m. instead of the usual 8 p.m. here." Oh, but you know what, Philip? I think we're switching over like next week. Times are going to change again. So like for some of us in the U.S. anyway. So it's going to be all sorts of weird. Yeah. And Ennis says about the time changes. Hi, Josh and everyone. I was expecting an 8 p.m. live stream with the UK time change and get a 6 p.m. one instead. Happy Monday. That's a great way to start off the week. All right. Let's dive right into this, Josh, for today. I'm going to open mine up. I've never had this before. We were talking a little bit off camera. Cheers to you.
Cheers.
Let me get this open. I did buy this off of the feed. I used your link that you had in your description the other day.
Yeah.
I signed up for an account and they gave me like $15 off my order or something like that. That was a pretty good order because I ordered a bunch of Martin gels. so I was like, I got a couple of Martins for free for signing up using your link. So thanks for that.
No problem.
All right. Do I shake this stuff first? Or
I don't think you need to.
All right. Well, let's get it open.
It has a little hiss to it.
Did have a hiss to it.
Yeah.
And just once, all at once?
All at
like
once.
A real shot? All right. Well, cheers.
Yeah. Cheers.
Here we go.
All right.
Oh, it's spicy.
Ooh.
It's weird. What is that flavor?
It's like some type of cinnamon, ginger.
Yeah, well, there's ginger in here for sure. And there's lime juice. I taste like lime. So it tastes like it wants to be sweet. And then it got spicy. It got,
But my cramps are gone now.
I didn't have cramps before, but I think I'm getting some right now. I don't think my stomach's too happy about it. I just taste a lot of ginger. I thought it was going to be hot spicy because like the ingredients are like capsicum powder, capsicum extract, and organic cassia oil.
Oh yeah.
Oh, so like I feel it in my belly. I feel it in my belly right now.
It's kind of like when you have an injury and you just take a baseball bat. If you hit the other part that's not hurt, you forget about the injury. Maybe
I guess so. I guess so. Or like I've heard about like a weird kind of doping that para athletes will do sometimes. They will like injure their already injured parts of their body. They won't feel it, but the body will have like an adrenaline response. I think it's like it's not really healthy. It's elite. I think it's banned practice, but I think that's where we're going with this because this is supposed to help you with cramps and stuff. Is that what's going on here?
Yeah, and I don't think there are any electrolytes or anything. Apparently it uses the concept of like the stuff is so spicy, it's like so concentrated.
Yeah.
You can see it on their website. Not sponsored, by the way, but you can see it on their website, and it's supposed to like overstimulate the nerves that you forget about the cramp, or the cramp stops happening.
Yeah,
So,
I just feel like I just ate something spicy. And because there's that lime extract, that flavor in here, there's like there's definitely a sweetness to it that it just feels like my body is really confused right now because like I feel it in my stomach. There's a heat, not like
yeah.
it feels like it's hot too, like a temperature hot, but it's just that spiciness.
Yeah. I wish I would have had a second one during Chicago, but I feel like it would have helped. I took one right at the start.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So like you're in the corrals and like tell me when are you taking, like you got this like in a pocket and you're just like, all right, time for this thing?
In
Or
Chicago?
tell me how that worked out. Like what
we had our tent, the American Development tent that had our stuff. So 15 minutes prior, I took my Martin gel and I took a hot shot, and then they corralled us into the front.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So it's not like you were waiting for like the first gun to go off and then you were going to be like, all right, you had it like a minute or two.
I had it. Yeah.
Okay. And you were good to run with like a stomach feeling like this? Oh man, I think mixing this with like a gel, like your body's going to be so confused. No?
Yeah. I felt fine. Now I defied the cardinal rule, and I also tried that the first time on marathon day.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
But is cramping something that you've been dealing with before?
I have. I gotta figure it out. Like lower right side stitch. It happens a lot actually, and I can't tell if it's more like food in my intestines or not enough electrolytes or like just being super stressed and psychological kind of thing that I need to work on. But like 70-80% of the time, I usually do get some type of cramp in my lower right abdomen, and it could be many things. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, like, I mean, I know that we're already like dove into here, and I think most of the people already in the live stream already know you, but let me give you a quick introduction to everyone who's not familiar. We're talking to Josh Sanchez. Here's Dr. Josh Sanchez, physical therapist who, what's that? Chiropractor. I'm so sorry. Doctor of Chiropractic, Josh Sanchez. Oh, my apologies. Doctor of Chiropractic, Dr. Josh Sanchez, who has a YouTube channel in the long run. He's very close to 10,000 subscribers. He's been putting out spicy content, and it got literally spicy. Like the two worlds, like the figurative and the literal, like coincided right at the Chicago Marathon. And it was a product that I was like, that is so weird. I got to check out what it is. He's running at an elite level. He's in the American Development Program. We did a live stream together right before the Chicago Marathon, and I wanted to have him back to kind of follow up and see what's next.
Yeah.
Anything else that you want to add to that, Josh?
No, just staying spicy.
Staying spicy. Yeah. Daniel M was like says I love how they look at the ingredients after they ingested it. Well, I knew, here's the thing. I knew Dr. Josh had taken it for the race. I know he had talked about it before, and it's sold on a website that sells like running stuff. So I'm like, it might not be my favorite product, but it's not going to be like, I don't know, terrible. I mean, I don't think they sell like 5-hour energy on the feed. Maybe they do, but I don't think that they do. So it's like, it's got to be like a step above whatever that is. So I felt, I guess there was some trust. Someone said that there's blind trust going on here. Frank said, was there castor oil in there? No, not castor oil. It was, what was it, Josh?
Let's see. Organic cassia oil.
Cassia?
I have no idea what that is.
I think it's related to capsicum. So that's what I thought it was.
Yeah.
Castor oil I think is toxic, right? So I don't think a person can take castor oil. All right. CJ the runner says, "What up? I want to try the hot shot, but my race is Saturday. I'm scared to try something new."
Don't be scared.
Yeah, I mean, I think now I'm settled in. It's been a couple minutes. I thought it might be struggling with it. I thought it would just set my mouth on fire, but I didn't taste a lot of spiciness like in the palate. It was just a lot of like mustardy hot to me.
Yeah, I think the effect is supposed to happen like in the throat and stuff, and in the stomach lining, not like in the mouth itself. Like if you go to their website, there's they have like a picture of a person drinking it, like in like science-looking colorway, and it shows like the throat and like the stomach getting lined with the hot shot. Yeah.
All right. That's interesting. I do feel like I'm not. I mean, I think my hands are shaking a little bit, like twitching a little bit. So it feels like I just had like a jolt of caffeine. So it'll certainly wake you up a little bit. So um, that could be another way to just kind of get your body amped a little bit. But I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know. For me in races, I already go out too fast. I already get too excited. You know, I don't need anything to get me more excited. But I suppose if I had like the cramping issue, then it would certainly be something I'll look at.
Yeah.
And it only worked for you you needed a second one, you think?
I definitely need a second one. It was too humid and too hot that like honestly, it was so hot, and I'm sure there were many people that were so dehydrated because I was definitely no matter how much water I took and Gatorade, like at the end, like no matter how hard I tried to pick up my pace, my hamstrings just lock up. You know. So
Okay. And like, do you think that there's anything you could have done nutrition wise, like the days beforehand, like, you know, what lessons are there that we can kind of try to extract from your experience?
So my experience, probably everyone else, unless you're like in the pro field ahead of everyone, we didn't have access to bottles, so we had to take advantage of what was on the course in Chicago, which was water and Gatorade. I only took 1 to 2 waters. I usually took the waters just to kind of keep my core temperature cool as much as I can, you know, behind the neck, down the shirt, on my face, on my head. And then like I try to take a Gatorade every round, but keep in mind that like you're only taking, there's a science to it. Like you can really get into detail, like how much you weigh, how hot it is, how much water weight you're losing. Because the more dehydrated you are, the less efficient your body is at burning calories. Right. I don't know. It was you're shaking. You're trying to do the little pinch grip, right? And there's probably maybe like 2 or 3 ounce cups, but like you're trying to shake it and it falls out, and you're only getting a little bit. So I had to do it again. I would definitely somehow start with a bottle because they made me dump my bottle beforehand, which kind of sucked. And then I probably would have grabbed another Gator, another water, and maybe I could have lasted a little bit longer. But given the conditions and stuff, I think that it was like inevitable that it was going to suck. Yeah.
So it's not like something you could have stocked up on electrolytes like 2 days beforehand or like done anything else hydration wise. It was more of like that's what was going on that day. Yeah. All right.
I mean, I was making sure I was hydrated, making sure, you know, my urine was pale yellow and getting enough electrolytes taken noon and Morton and stuff with salt leading up to the race. I mean, I felt pretty good for the first, 16 miles of it. And then it's downhill from there.
Now, I remember you were saying that you were going to run a little bit slower than your coach. At least that was the plan. And then I think I saw in your race recap video that you said you went out with your coach.
Yeah.
So you were going faster than planned.
And this morning, he was like, I watched your race recap video. The only thing you forgot to say is that you went out too fast. And I was like, we didn't go out too fast. And I was like, we went out like 5:35. He's like, no, we went out at 5:27. I was like, at 5:35. Yeah. But I mean, I went out a lot slower than I usually do than you guys see in my workouts and stuff and Strava and videos and stuff. It was at least good 10 to 15 seconds slower. And obviously, because it's a marathon, you want to pace yourself. But one mistake I would say I need to work on is actually focus more on marathon pace specific work. Like I'm really good at lactate threshold, but like running 5:30s to 5:40s feels like foreign ground to me. Like my body, it feels awkward, kind of, right? So that would probably be something I would want to focus on. But I don't think I went out too fast. We tried catching up to Sarah's Halls group. We did. I keep saying Sarah's Halls. Yeah. And then we went ahead. I think he was aiming for sub 220. I was just running how I feel I wanted to PR. Obviously, when you spend so much time training at, the sub elite level, you want to be, since you only run 2 to 3 marathons a year, you want to run as close as possible to that old Olympic trial standard. At least aim for it because, you only get 3 shots a year. And if the stars don't align or the conditions suck, then it's like you either have to decide what you're going to do and back off or try to make things work.
Right. In the moment when you're there and running with your coach, did your coach say anything? Like, because he clearly had to have known you were there. Because I mean, I don't think there's that many people at the part of the race where you are, right? So like, was he like, dude, we talked about this, back off? Or was he like, oh, you're here, great, come on? Or what was the conversation like there?
He told me he's like, take it easy or don't. So I just stayed with him. And there were part on the backstretch, with the crazy headwind where like you're just getting eaten alive by the headwind. And he's just like, he's like, don't worry, we got a tailwind coming up. And I was like, this whole thing feels like a headwind.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Chicago. It's a windy city. It's always
Yeah.
a headwind.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, let's see. We got Cole Thomas says he thinks that the capsicum in the hot shots is from turmeric. Oh, is that where it's from?
I believe capsaicin is from like peppers.
Right.
Yeah.
But if it's capsicum versus capsaicin, you know what I mean? I think
I
there's
see
all
what you're
these
saying,
similar sounding words in here.
And
So
I'm not
Cole's
too
doing
sure
some
about that,
research
yeah.
for us. So
Thanks,
it looks
Cole.
like so. Yeah, we're figuring it out. But yeah, I don't. I mean, this doesn't seem pleasant. I don't think I'd want to go run after. I mean, I think I have a pretty strong stomach, and like I've eaten like a big lunch and then had to go for a run just because of my schedule on a particular day. But I don't know that I'd want to run right now. All right.
I'm sweating. It's making me
Adam
sweat.
says maybe you're more of a 10K or a half runner than a full if you're really enjoying those threshold runs. He says he's weak at lactate threshold, but he can go marathon race pace and slower forever. So do you think there's something to that?
I think so. I mean, I do a lot of training at that, and it's a very big staple for pretty much all programs from 800 meter to the marathon. But obviously, it will be less or versus more depending on the event you're training for. But like my top leg speed isn't that great. I think my fastest quarter is like 58. Like this morning running with the Boulder Underground group, it's like we do strides at the end, and you know my leg speed isn't that great. But at the same time, the endurance aspect of it is something I got to work on. I mean, I've only done 3 marathons. I've done like 20-mile runs if I pace myself or pacing someone, because I have before at like 5:35, 5:40. I feel fine. It's just that maybe it was a little too hot for the conditions that day. But I mean, I've also had workouts where like you do like those Jack Daniels type workouts where like 4-mile warm up, so many miles at marathon pace and like surge, and so many miles at marathon pace and cool down. Like I feel fine during those. I think it's more I think the psychology of it for me, and then maybe I need to become even more specific to the marathon. And these workouts, I'm supposed to start slower and get gradually faster. But like even when I train a lot by heart rate and almost all heart rate for most things, and it's very hard to like. You're like, oh, I got to get up to my heart rate zone for me to be able to stress my lactate threshold for majority of the time. In reality, I probably should just like the first rep focus on keeping my heart rate right below lactate threshold. So in theory, that would be like marathon effort, and then just gradually get faster from there.
So like if you were looking at like a long run that has a big stretch or maybe a couple of like medium length stretches of marathon pace miles in it, do you think that is, I mean, I like those kinds of runs. I did one of those last weekend, but like, do you think that those are more important from a physiological perspective, like getting used to drilling down that feeling, getting used to being uncomfortable there? Or do you think it's more like mental? I guess I'm kind of conflating the two already, but like physical in terms of like what your body can do, and mental in terms of like, this is a normal pace. This is what it's supposed to feel like, kind of thing. How do you in your mind look at that kind of workout on the calendar and understand what it's going to do for you?
So training in any sport is about the law of specificity. Anything you do, your body adapts very specifically to the demands of it. I know, don't quote me on this, I think Brad Hudson and his coaching philosophy and Arthur Lydiard, they get more specific to their goal race. So like, you see this in Jack Daniels too. Even like those plans, you're doing like mostly repetition work in the beginning, and then as they get closer to what they're training for, they're doing more specific style work. So I would say more specific to get to that, and also like you can't just. Let's talk about extremes. It's not like you're a 400-meter runner and you're going to decide to do complete opposite on the spectrum, a marathon. You're going to have no sense of like what feels like marathon, and plus you won't even have like the aerobic benefit to it. Now, if you were to go up, say, for like, I don't know, being a 1,500-meter runner or like look at Nick Symmonds. I don't know if he really trained for the Honolulu Marathon when he did it. I think he broke 3 hours. I don't remember. But obviously he's a, 2-time Olympic half miler. And I think he ran like 240 something. Don't quote me on that for the full. And people would be like, hey, if you were to really train for it, what would you run? And I remember he commented like 229, 230, 231. Because he knows that he's probably more genetically more quick twitch and less of the slow twitch marathon type. But to answer your question, I don't know if I probably went off on a tangent. It's just getting the first aspect is just training for marathon pace as you get closer to your marathon. And then that should help with the psychological aspect and mental aspect that, hey, I've done this pace enough. It's kind of like studying for a test, right?
Yeah,
You
okay.
you do so many chemistry problems, and you when you get to the test, you see it looks very familiar. All you gotta do is change the numbers around. It's the same concept
Got it.
with running. Yeah.
Cool. Plant Powered Runner has tried the hot shots. He's just said he did it during an ultra a couple years ago, and they weren't too bad.
Thanks.
Cool. What if you were to bring another one with you for another marathon, you would put that like in your pocket, so you'd have like 2 gels in a pocket and a hot shots, and like 2 gels in a pocket and another hot. Like how's that work? Or is that kind of like in case of emergency, like pop the top? Like how's it?
Yeah, I'll probably rip off the top part of the wrapper.
Yeah,
I would either hold it in my hand, or though I did see someone have like one of those like fanny packs, like a thin fanny pack. I might get one of those. Yeah.
Oh, like I think they're called spy belts, the
Yeah.
thin ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a couple of those in our house. My wife uses them. I used it from time to time. Cool. Yeah, I think that'd be an interesting way to put it together. Stevie76 says, "Is that a hot gel in your pocket or what?" If you're running.
Yeah, it's like warm. You take them Morton at like mile 15 or whatever, and it's like,
Yeah.
The worst thing is like when you're trying to take it and you try to rip it off, you're trying to look hardcore in front of the crowd, you rip it off. And then like when you rip it, you don't rip it completely across, and you have to you're like, no.
I never get a Martin gel ripped all the way across. So then you have to all right, do I just put the whole thing in there, or do I like try to slurp it from the side? I don't know what to do with it. It never opens cleanly for me.
Yeah, or just squeeze it as hard. I've had times where I like squeeze it as hard as I can to like make it shoot like a ketchup packet. Yeah. Just stop and step on it.
Yeah. Oh man, that's so funny. Dermot says, I want to run a sub 240 marathon, so 6 minute per mile pace. So this pace needs to feel aerobic for at least 18-20 miles. That's what I work on based on heart rate. What do you think about that? She's thinking.
So yeah, 6 minute mile pace. Let's see, you need to feel aerobic for at least. I think you're going to be aerobic the entire time because I said this before. Is that like use a 5K as a base? I don't remember when I read this. It was I was either the Runner's Body, one of those like human kinematics books on running. I don't remember exactly, but a 5K is like 91% aerobic. And obviously, a marathon is so many times a 5K. You're going to be like 99% aerobic for a majority of the time, unless you feel spicy and you want to have enough energy to drop the last. Most people don't, unless you're like, I remember. So there was some Kenyan runner that dropped like a 13 something or 14 flat last 5K in a marathon. But for the majority of the time, you're going to be aerobic. Yeah, like marathon pace is like the upper end of aerobic threshold, pretty much. Yeah.
Cool. We got Shannon in here says, Dr. Josh's videos, especially over the last couple of months, have been extremely helpful for marathon training recovery. In case you haven't visited his channel, everybody.
Thanks, Shannon.
I've definitely been enjoying them myself. I know a lot of people have New York or Indy coming up this weekend, so lots of good stuff, and also kind of preemptive stuff. You got some of the post-marathon blues content out there.
Yeah.
So also really helpful. I always feel like the best way to get over one marathon is to sign up for another one.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's helping.
It's a never-ending cycle.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that I'm going to be taking a break probably in December. I'll be toning it down quite a bit because I've been, not training for one thing, but like jumping from kind of race to race to race. And they've been different distances and different kind of even disciplines. So that's been helpful.
Yeah.
For the end of the year. What are your plans now that like Chicago's done? Is your season over for this year? What's kind of up on the calendar next?
I've got races scheduled.
Cool.
I'll make a video on it, but you guys are here first, or you're going to get it.
We got the exclusive.
The exclusive.
Nice.
So I'm actually being in Florida for the next 3 races.
Okay.
So I'm going to do, for my Jacksonville fam that are out there, I'm going to be in Jacksonville for 2 of those. My next race is November 13th. It's going to be in the Mandarin Sun 10K. It's a 10K I did back when I just finished graduating from University of Florida back in 2012. I ran my road PR there back when the day before there were super shoes. I wore a pair of Nike Lunar Spiders. I don't know if you remember those. I love those. They're like it was a Japanese market. They came to the U.S. market for maybe 3 iterations, and then they kind of went back to the Japanese market, and they discontinued them. But they had a TPU shank, and yeah. So I'm doing that. It's a fast course, flat, pretty much an out and back and a loop, and I'm hoping to run a spicy PR. And then Next race is going to be Thanksgiving. It's going to be in Jacksonville as well. It's going to be their First Place Sports half marathon they put on. It used to be called the Outback half marathon, like Outback Steakhouse, I think.
Okay.
But I think it's a different sponsor for the race now. So I'm hoping to run a half PR there because that's also fast.
Mm-hmm.
And then December 11th, I'm actually going to run the USATF Club Cross Country National Championships in Tallahassee.
Nice.
And then my next marathon's on the schedule already.
What's the next marathon?
I'm running Houston full.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's a good race.
Yeah.
I need to get back out there. I just don't know what's going to happen in January for me. So, yeah, I'm not planning on racing December other than my marathon, but we'll see what happens in January.
Yeah.
But that's cool. It's cool to be out there. When you plan out your schedule, do you have what are kind of the big pillars on your calendar coming up? Like, what are you looking forward to in terms of the way you're crafting your races? Or is it just kind of race one, reevaluate, put another couple on the calendar and just kind of keep going? Or what are the ebbs and flows for you?
So at this point in my running life, I'm focusing on the marathon. Mm-hmm. So the marathon is the pivoting point. I schedule workouts and races around the marathon, or my coach does. And so you can only do so many a year. I mean, you can do as many as you want, but in reality, you probably only do 2 or 3 really efficiently. And then the amount of downtime it takes, like the taper up to it and the amount of downtime after it, it's going to put a big hinder in your training plan. Mm-hmm. So I schedule on the marathon. I'm planning on doing 3 marathons this coming year. Might do Chicago again. I need to see if I can sign up for redemption. But other than that, so the races that are leading up to it, I should see some fitness gains, especially training for the marathon. You're probably going to PR pretty well, like 10K and up, maybe 5K. I've heard stories like on Let's Run of people that run a marathon doesn't really go great for, like you ran your 5K PR.
I ran a 5K PR the next day.
So like your body's like, what the hell is this? And then you run a massive PR. So, I mean, there are different goals I want to reach. Like I haven't reached yet. Being 31 is like sub 15 in the 5K, sub 31 in the 10K. So like for the things I'm signing up for and focusing mainly on the marathon, I would like to at least hit those goals before I get older and I'll be able to hit those goals and focus like 100% on the marathon. But essentially it's pretty much just scheduling workouts and races around the big boys, which are the marathons. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Adam says he's going to be at the Club Cross Champs with the Boulder Roadrunners. What team are you going to be running with?
BTC Elite.
Nice. Very cool. Very cool. I saw that because I'm a USATF. I bet to become a member to compete at the Masters Championships, the track meet. Yeah. And so I get the emails and I was looking at that. I was like, oh, I wonder I wonder who goes to that. Like maybe that'll be an event that I go down to as well. It sounds interesting.
It's huge. It's like you yell for Narnia when you start the race. It's like that many people.
Just an epic battle.
It's a stampede, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've watched a cross country race probably since I ran cross country in like high school. Yeah. So like I think that'd be. I mean, I've watched a couple on TV recently. Like I watched like the Big Ten cross country championships for the last couple of years on TV and stuff like that. But I've not been to one in real life in a long time. I think it'd be pretty wild. Maybe I'll head out there.
Oh yeah. The Tallahassee course is pretty fast. I don't know if you heard, they were saying that it was a little short because I think like the pre-nats or something, because there were guys running like 22:30, and I think Kyle Merber was like, what is going on nowadays? Is like some super grass on the courses now?
Yeah. I love how he just always seems to be complaining about something. Yeah. He's like an old man in a young man's body. It's really funny. But that must be what that. I saw his replies and I didn't know the context of what he was talking about, but now that makes sense. Awesome. JD Benavides says, if you cramp up, do you ever feel that area more sensitive to cramping again? Like it won't cramp, but your mind tells you it might. And what to do with therapy for that sensitive area? Okay, so I may be dealing with this issue right now in my psoas and my right lower hip. So the reason why you probably cramp in those areas, ask yourself, JD, have you ever had an injury or like a serious injury in that area where you had to take some time off? So when the body heals, there are things called fibroblasts that kind of help, stabilize the area. And you got nerves that go everywhere, both for pain and motor, being able to move muscles. And what happens is that it like covers those nerves, and then there's like a muscle memory thing. So like if you ever say you knock on wood, you tore your hamstring when you were like 12 or whatever, or 14, and then like
you're now 45 and you do your sprint workouts and you still feel, unless you've gotten it worked on or really loosened up and getting those tissues to kind of become more pliable, chances are you're probably going to feel like the old injury. So the reason why you probably cramp up in those common areas, if it's not like your diaphragm or side stitch, it's probably an old injury that you could probably get worked on that has a less probability of cramping. So like when I ran CIM in 2019, when I had problems like in my right groin and like my lower right hamstring, those are cramping. Like I felt those around mile like 20. But like during Chicago, I didn't feel it doing there. I just felt my hamstrings generally get tight because of dehydration probably. So
nice.
Find someone to work on those areas, JD.
Yeah. So, I mean, you think that like it could, I mean, so it's both like mental and physical then. So like it's kind of like a body's protective mechanism, but also like there actually might be something there that needs to kind of get worked its way out.
Yeah.
So it could be both of those things.
Like you always know it's there if you don't get it, worked on. Kind of thing. Yeah.
Cool. Terry Furlong says cross country is cool as long as the course is tarmacked, but I think a lot of people will probably agree with Adam, who says any cross country course without mud, water, hills, and log/hay bale jumps is fast but boring. Where do you fall on that?
Without mud, I love like your golf course that's like fast, rolling hills, but not like crazy. But for any of those that have ever done the U.S. National Championships was in Bend in 2017. That was the worst course I've ever run on. We started like 110. You start because it snowed 3 feet the day before, so they had to plow the golf course, and we were the last race of the day, and there was like 3 feet wall of snow. When we started the race, your foot sinks into like shin deep ice water, and then you're running on like this permafrosted ground that's like slanted, and then there's a thing that climbs, and you have these Army Kenyans and pro runners that are still running sub 31 on that course, and you're just trying to survive.
That's insane. Like I just feel like there's definitely two kinds of like cross country fans. The ones that are like, let's make it miserable, like they want to torture people, and the other that are like, like get some rollers, but I still want to see like just speed and like not get too much in the way. I'm with you. Like I remember, I mean, I ran cross country in high school rather poorly, but I was like, I like the courses that are not too tough. But like, I don't like the ones where it's like, all right, run around the soccer field, then the baseball field, then the football field, and then we'll do that 3 times. Like I couldn't stand those. Those were boring. Yeah.
And like the hay bale jumps, I think that's a European thing. Like they don't do that here in the U.S.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Innes says, though, cross country at our school was dropped off in the minibus and running back to school through the woods as the smokers walked at the back.
Like, hey, you kids, get out of here.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. We got PR in here today. Alpha and Journey says greetings from Celebrity Apex. Hit a trail 10K PR on Saturday with a 4602. I don't have my sounds today. Sorry, AJ, you're gonna have to come back tomorrow. I'll have sounds tomorrow. I've been having so many problems with the microphone. When I have guests on, I've been like no sounds today. So AJ, we'll have to. Congratulations on that trail PR. We'll have to get you tomorrow. All right. Adam says though, like, but if it's flat and fast for the cross country course, going back to that, it might as well be a road race.
Yeah,
maybe. All right, we got a question here from Martha. Says, Dr. Josh, I have a hint of sesamoiditis on one foot. She diagnosed it herself from trying carbon plate shoes. Doesn't bother her when she's running or walking, but it's just slightly there. Will it eventually go away by itself?
Martha, obviously go see your qualified healthcare provider.
This isn't medical advice.
And if you diagnose it yourself on one foot, it could be a couple things on the bottom of the foot. It doesn't have to be said. Like I've had capsulitis before on the ball of my foot, but from trying, I assume CP carbon plated shoes doesn't bother me when I'm running and walking, but it's just slightly there. There's some. So I believe there is some literature. I don't remember how big the sample size was. Is that if the pain doesn't get above a 4 and it doesn't alter your gait, then you're probably okay to continue. But everyone perceives pain differently, and just for educational purposes only. But I would still get it checked out because it could be several other things. So,
yeah. While we're on that, a lot of people talk about carbon-plated shoes, how they are great for everyone, or how they're not great for most people. Like, what do you think about the people that are like, I want to wear a carbon-plated shoe, like in the extreme position, like every day? Like,
every
what do
day,
you think
casually.
about that? Yeah, not. I mean, maybe casually too, but I mean, like for easy runs, maybe they got like something like they got a pair of Alpha Flies. They love how soft it is on easy days, and they love it on workout days. Like, is there what do you think about something like that?
Hey, Alpha Flies make you taller, and then the Prime X's too. I wear my Prime X's when I'm out in public.
Yeah,
Um,
you get an
so
extra 10 millimeters that way.
Yeah. So and then you put a heel lift in them too. So the concept of like people that wear the advocate. I don't know if that's the word, but like the biggest thing when it comes to like changes in training aspects nowadays because of the invention of or the push of carbon plate shoes, because thanks to Nike, because they're the first ones that did it and it kind of like shaped the market, is that the concept of it's a combination of both the foam and the plate, not either or. If you had to pick one or the other, it probably is more so the foam. But it's also the curvature of the plate, the position of the plate, and how the plate is designed. When it comes to recovery, like you could just run easier. I mean, when people complain that muscles get tight and stuff like that, it's because they're just pissed off and you're probably giving it too much load. It's like how you're probably saying, how does the body know that if I'm running too hard, it's going to feel, tight and bothering you later? And I think it's more of a survival mechanism. Like you have to be able to run away from that lion, right? Without knowing that you're going to hurt yourself, even if you may feel that pain later. But the concept of like, I wouldn't personally, and probably for the most of the people and recommending it for patients and stuff like that, is that I wouldn't wear carbon plate shoes all the time. In theory, it probably takes like the load, depending on the shoe itself, like the Alpha Fly is like 4 millimeters and I believe the Vapor Fly is like 8 millimeters. It depends if you're going to have issues, but the concept is basically like taking place of your plantar fascia and those lower tendons and stuff like that help load that kinetic energy and help drive forward. So in theory, it's going to help reduce the load on those muscles and tendons and ligaments and stuff, so you can recover faster to be able to do the next workout. But in reality, I mean, the concept of carbon plated shoes has only been around since the original 4% came out, which was what, 2018, right? Right?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah,
maybe 2017.
So it's not it's like too new, and I mean, they probably could do like some meta-analysis study and see like the prevalence of injury on like pre-2018 and now, and then that will probably better answer your question with a large number of people. Yeah. But I'm against wearing carbon plate shoes all the day. You have to load your foot a certain way to like keep those the tendons strong, the intrinsic foot muscles, how you're going to load properly. So it's going to change how you run. So,
all right, thanks. Yeah. I mean, it's a question that I get all the time. And I'm like, well, I mean, I don't think it makes a lot of sense to do it every day. I don't want to do it every day, but I don't know if it's bad. Like in that extreme scenario, would it be bad? But yeah, I mean, that's my thing is always, it's kind of like food, like everything in moderation,
Yeah.
Probably okay. Try not to do any one thing too.
There are people that do say that and they still don't do it anyway. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Cool. All right, we got one more question. We got a super chat coming in from Ray. It says he ran his first half marathon at a 10-minute per mile pace, and he wants to know what does he have to do to keep that pace for his first full. So he wants to now extend that and take his half marathon PR and turn that into his marathon PR.
Ray, how long have you been running, and how old are you? Because like generally if you have a lot of room to work with and you haven't been running much, you're going to see the biggest gains in the next couple of months and years. And chances are just by running, easy, because it's primarily an aerobic event, those times are going to come down. Both of them will come down. So it's not the concept of like, I want to be able to hold this pace twice. Because if you ran your half marathon, a true half marathon effort, that's like lactate threshold, a pace that feels comfortably hard, a pace you can talk in small sentences that you can last maybe an hour or more. And you're trying to keep that for your full. Now, everyone has to start somewhere. Like, I mean, I started somewhere as well. And I'm not saying, I'm like crazy fast or anything. I would say I'm decent. But it takes a lot of time and training. And eventually all the events that you run, especially distance, will go down with it. So you'll PR regardless, especially in the beginning of what you're training for. Unless you're training for like a half mile or something. I mean, if you look at high schoolers and stuff, you got high schoolers nowadays running like 153. And 151.
It's insane.
140. Yeah, it's insane. There's something in the water. Give me some of that water.
They got hot shots. Hot shots before. I mean, I think for Ray, like, I don't think Ray's been running he's been running for a while, but it hasn't been like years and years and years. So I think a lot of consistency, and building more aerobic base, I think will really help them to get to that point. Like
Yeah.
the half marathon pace will go down as well. So it's not like, I need to run like you were saying, you're not running your half marathon PR twice.
Yeah.
It's like what's currently your half marathon PR will later become, your marathon PR. But I think he can get there for sure. All right. Yeah, but here's the thing. So Tassos Hajipavlis says, Adidas had torsion plates long before Nike, but no good marketing. I mean, Nike had shanks before carbon plates as well. So like the concept has been in spikes and that for a long time. How come none of that can translate over into some of this research like that you're talking about? Do you have an idea or opinion? Has that something? I mean, I know you're not a researcher, so I'm not asking you to like defend the state of the meta-analyses that are or aren't out there, but like, what's your take on that?
Let's look at the 2012 Nike Victory spike. That was just, you ever worn those or known someone's worn those? They hurt to wear.
No, I don't think I did. I had whatever like the cheapest Nike spikes were. This is like when I wore Nike spikes, that was back in like turn of the century, like 1998 through like 2000. So. Yeah.
So the resiliency of carbon fiber, because I guess they've been using carbon fiber for such a long time, right? In cars and stuff like that. And I'm sure at one point in time, they're like, hey, let's put it in a shoe. I don't know if that may be Nike or probably Adidas first. But the concept of loading it and the fact that it's really light and resilient and it wicks back quickly. So rebounding what I said, the 2012 Nike Victory Elite Spike, the bright yellow ones, the pink ones, and the light blue ones, had, instead of a TPU shank in the center, all it had was a carbon plated shank. And I guess for aesthetics, because remember, when it comes to marketing a shoe, it's both innovation and design. You want to have it look cool. We also want to have it perform that it says it's going to do. They had like this plastic covering and the whole thing was carbon fiber. So it just looked cool to look at it. Their marketing campaign wasn't the plate. Now, I don't know if they were studying plates like forever, like a real long time, or maybe recently they just found out that, hey, if we embed this in some type of foam, that maybe we'll get some more energy return. I don't even know when P-backs came out, right? Because a lot of these companies use P-backs, and I guess they pay royalties or whatever to be able to use P-backs, and they rename it, and they make it a certain polymer with P-backs. So like the ZoomX, the Light Strike, the Reebok foam float has that too. The Mizuno, I don't know if the shoe came out yet, that has the little bubbles, the little balls, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So all those have P-backs, and there's a bunch of other foams. And I assume it has to do not only performance, but the amount of money it's going to cost the company to be able to put it together and stuff like that. So when it comes to, I don't know if I answered your question, marketing, I think for the concept of, I think that the 2012 spike was just marketed as a cool spike that had carbon fiber. And I don't think carbon fiber was the push at the time. It was just that all these really fast people are wearing Nike spikes, kind of thing to market it. And I mean, they do it all the time. Like Alpha Fly came out, they just have Kipchoge. And I bet you they probably have Jacob Ingebrigtsen didn't want to wear the Alpha Flies when he broke the road third European record, 5K. And I'm sure Galen Rupp didn't want to wear the Alpha Flies, or maybe he did, but it doesn't matter. It's like a marketing, Kipchoge, right? It's more of a marketing thing. You get someone really fast to wear the shoe, then you have the people that, think that it's all the shoe. It's not all the shoe, but I mean, it's cool, Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think of like what, like the Ingebrigtsens in Alpha Flies. I mean, like, do you think that was a hard sell, like to get them to put that on? I mean, they did a great job.
Yeah.
In the shoe, or like, I don't know. I mean, I guess you wouldn't. I mean, I don't know if you would know, but I don't know. I'm like, how do you convince people? Or it is like, do you think at that level they're like, sure, give me the shoe, I'll run in it, I'm fast.
Yeah. I probably, or maybe there's something written to their contract that if you run the shoe and you win, we'll pay you X amount of money or something. Yeah.
So it's kind of like the it's like missions in like Grand Theft Auto. Like it's like I could like try to get like Diamond League gold medal, or if I like go on this side mission and run like a road 5K and break the European,
and all the stars just light up and all of a sudden as soon as you start the race. Yeah,
but if you don't make it, you have to go back to your last save spot.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's funny. Very cool. Dermot wants to know, Josh, a lot of runners land midfoot or front foot, then why the need for a full length plate?
That's a good question, Dermot. One, I think it's marketing. Two, cost. They're not going to, because that would cost a lot of money if all of a sudden you split the plate into like, oh, you're a forefoot striker. Oh, you're a heel foot striker. Yeah, right. And there is an optimal way of running, and this could be another topic for another answer now. Like, 80%, the top for most races. I don't remember when this study was published. It's probably also, I don't remember exactly, it was a small sample size, but the top, let's see, of the top 20% of runners in like 5Ks or local races, or whatever, 80% of those 20% of runners were midfoot strikers. And they become more, it seems more efficient because you're able to get under your center of mass a lot quicker. And the concept of like, I need to change my form. There's stuff out there too, if you look up like on PubMed and stuff, that like you shouldn't force yourself to change your cadence and your foot strike overnight. It should happen naturally, kind of thing. Like if you're just running and you're like a gazelle, just by running and trying to, doing long distance running and raising that running economy, over time with training, your stride lane is going to shorten. So maybe Dermot, they designed the shoe for that aspect. Not saying that like, I'm sure some people say this, like, should I get a pair, like those Facebook groups, should I get a pair of Vaporflies if I'm not fast? You know what I mean? Right. So also I am going to do a video on whether it helps slow shoe. If carbon plated shoes help slow runners, there is stuff out there about it. So, Josh, I can't read. So Dermot, I think they did that more so because of just what I said. You're eventually probably going to end up landing more, midfoot than you are going to be landing more forefoot or back of the foot. But like there's obviously different curvatures in the plates depending on the company. Like the Rocket, the Carbon X, whatever, has like that ninja foot, right? Split between the big toe. Yeah. The Adidas Adizero Adios Pro has like the rods, and Nike just has a straight flat plate. And I think they have the patent on the plate, the position of the plate in the foam and the curvature of the plate in the foam. Okay. So I'm sure they figured out in the lab, like this is the optimal with this Pebax foam. So like because of patent law, I don't think any other company can really come close. And you've seen that in the most recent literature they're small studies, but like nothing comes close to the Alphafly and the Vaporfly. I mean, the Meta Racers or the Meta Sky or whatever is there. Maybe if they brought in that small study, maybe if they brought in the Adidas shoes, they'd probably be up there too. But like everything else, it's like pretty much obsolete at this point in time. Yeah.
Let's do one more question if you have time for it. Yeah, Mr. Random wants to know, like, what type of shoes would you recommend for someone that has plantar fasciitis? Or is that a trick question? Is there a shoe that's good for plantar fasciitis? Or do you have to just address the plantar fasciitis?
Okay. So Mr. Random, in the beginning, you have to ask yourself why you have plantar fasciitis. It could be to overloading, excess tendency of your foot, excess torque going down because of a too high heel to toe ratio, weakness up on the hips, so the leg caves in. So you got to ask yourself why you have plantar fasciitis. Now, in the short term, there is stuff out there that says that you can wear, I would say, a stiff shoe, probably a stiff shoe, like a stiff orthotic, for about up to 2 weeks. Because the joke is that, if you wear orthotics 24/7, it's where the foot goes to die because you're basically using an artificial increase. You have the stiff orthotic or the stiff shoe to slow down the torque that goes down the plantar fascia, so it doesn't put more stress on that heel. So you do feel better. And there are stories of people like, hey, I got orthotics, my plantar fasciitis went away. But then you're also opening up a can of worms for other injuries. So types of shoes, something more stiff. I'm not a fan of stability shoes because remember, if you stop motion in one place, your body's gonna make it up elsewhere. So you may start developing knee pain or hip pain or stuff like that. So I'm a very big advocate, like either a neutral shoe with a stiff orthotic, slowly getting out of the orthotic. And I'm not a fan of motion control shoe or stability shoes because of what I stated prior. There's studies in like the late 80s on sensory perception and how like your brain cannot, because your foot has probably a ton of nerve endings, probably more nerve endings elsewhere in your body to be grounded. And your brain has to know where your foot is in space. But they've done I think it was like in 89, they did something on female runners. So they put like their foot in a shoe that had a medial plate. And they found out that they underestimated how much force and torque was going down into their foot because their brain can't perceive how their foot is in the shoe. So chances they were actually underestimating the amount of load, which the amount of load, depending if they're not adapted to it, can cause issues and injury further down the line.
So does that mean then some like the minimalist shoe people will be like, and that's why like these tall stack height shoes are terrible for you, and that's why you should run like barefoot? Like,
yeah.
Does it go that far? It's like, Like, how far do you take that advice?
So you got to look at performance. I mean, if you want to race well in this day and age, it's kind of like the advantageous of new tennis rackets or swimsuits. You're going to have to wear the carbon plated shoes, no doubt.
Got it.
But you still can't neglect the fundamentals of running. I mean, I barefoot run. I mean, I can't do it now because starting to snow and get really cold. But like just to getting those intrinsic foot muscles to fire, and I mean those control your arch support too, on top of muscles in the lower calf. And if you're using something to artificially, have you move a certain way, those muscles become weak. So then all of a sudden, when you run faster, you're putting more load on those lower legs in your body. You have a higher chance of prevalence of injury, kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay. So get the plantar fasciitis taken care of, and in the interim, you can use an orthotic, like an insert.
Pretty much.
Okay. Well, that's kind of what I thought, but I do think that's a question that comes up all the time. And like just talking to Emily, and like she's been battling her plantar fasciitis. So like, and it seems like a topic I hear on every podcast I listen to is like someone in the last year, every like runner in the last year and a half seems to have battled it. Luckily, like knock on wood, I haven't, but it just makes me think like, what's really going on.
If you want to get rid of the pain at the site quickly, find someone that does extracorporeal shockwave therapy. It's pretty much ultrasound and steroids, and it hurts like hell. But I've worked.
But it's not steroids.
It's not steroids. No.
Okay.
The device itself is on steroids, not steroids. So like what it does, like knock on wood, but I've had 100% success rate with plantar fasciitis when I had the machine at the office I was working at with people that come with plantar fasciitis. Basically, it's a matter of fact, it's not even called plantar fasciitis anymore. It's called plantar fibromatosis. It's not considered an inflammatory condition. It's the concept that we talked about earlier, the nerves getting entrapped kind of thing, although this would be more of the fascia. Actually, fascia is very neuronally inputted, much like your IT band, which tends to be a reason why like the foot hurts a lot when you get hurt, or these fascias. The IT band hurts a lot when you get IT band syndrome, because those are structures that are supposed to tell your body where it is in space. And
All right. That was a lot of information, everyone. Now rewind it back to the beginning. You're going to have to listen to it twice, maybe at half speed, because Josh just dropped so much knowledge on us. Thanks so much for your time, Josh. And you know what? These weren't so bad. I don't think I would ever eat them, but if you guys are having the cramp problem, I think it'll definitely distract you. So it'll kind of like it's like the kind of like reboot and see if it still gives you any problem kind of approach to cramping. So
imagine those in like gel or like shot block form, gummy form.
That I think that your mouth would then feel it. I think for sure.
Yeah.
Or maybe put it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, can you just get the same effect from hot sauce? I'm not really sure.
I'm not sure either. You probably need the ginger. I think it's a combination of the ginger and the hot sauce.
Or maybe someone was saying there might be turmeric or extract in here. Maybe
saving these bad boys for.
All right, there you go. There you go. You got to get yourself a spy belt. You put them in there. You got or
Magic
maybe a bandolier. You can just run
gear.
with like a bandolier now.
Yeah.
Have one all across your
Spider-Man style in my arm sleeves. Old school Spider-Man.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, we'll be cheering for you in your next upcoming races. I think hopefully people will see you down at the Club Cross Championships, or at Houston. I think some people mentioned that they're going to be there too. So Sweet. You might have to do a shakeout run when you're down there in Houston. Then you got fans. So
yeah.
So hopefully we wish you the best of luck in your training and for your races. All right, let everyone know where they can find you before we head out for today.
Yeah. So my channel, like Ho said in the beginning, is In the Long Run. In the long run, I do a lot of running content, vlogs, how to get ready for races and stuff like that, injury videos. So check it out. I'm almost at 10,000 subs. I think I have like 400 left to go. I'm gonna launch merch. It's gonna get spicy and very mustachy. I already got the logos designed. You can find me on Instagram at jsanchdc. J is my first name, Sanch, S-A-N-C-H, and DC because I'm a chiropractor. A lot of running content there. Although I'm more serious on Instagram. I'm more serious on Instagram, like my captions are, and I'm more goofy on YouTube. So it's the best of both worlds. And maybe I'll see some of the fam at my upcoming races. So.
All right, great. Well, thanks again, Josh. And make sure everybody that you go and subscribe and get him to that 10K mark. That's a big milestone to hit. Yeah. You're almost there. You'll be there soon enough, Josh.
Thanks.
All right, guys, that's going to be it for today, everybody. Be safe out there. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.